we are talking about stuff that is very specific to the second trimester, because there's something super exciting about training for a major physical event, right? And that is what labor is. It can go really quickly, or it can last a few days. So it is a major physical event. And as a side note, somebody once pointed out to me that most women, if they're getting ready to train for a marathon, so if you run a marathon, if you're really, really great at it, it takes about, 2 hours and a bit. And if you are just learning and just trying out your first marathon, it can take a really long time, 4 hours, things like that, right? And most people, on average, when they go to start a marathon, will train for about 300 hours. So that's a lot of running, getting ready for it, and getting prepared for it. And once you are finished, you can say that you've done a marathon, and sometimes you might maybe win something or get a medal or get your picture taken or something like that. But when you have a baby, as I mentioned, labor can be quick, but it can also last 2 days, 3 days. It's not a 2-hour thing. It's not a 4-hour thing. And most women, when they go to train for labor, they will train for about 20 hours. And that training generally consists of reading books or taking a class, right? There's generally no physical training that goes along with this whatsoever. So you being here right now are ahead of the curve by about 1,000,000-fold for just wanting to and acknowledging how important your physical training is for this major physical event, which in the end, you don't get a medal, I don't think. Anyways, at least I didn't get one. You might get your picture taken, but you have a baby and a new life, which is, something so different than being able to say that you trained for a marathon. Although that is a pretty big feat too, right? So congratulations, first off, just for being here and taking this so seriously. It's not only going to do you a world of good, but also your babes, which you are growing in your belly right now, okay? So let's have a look at a couple of things that I want to make sure that I cover about the second trimester in particular. So at the beginning of the trimester, you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff still that we can't do once your belly grows a little bit, right? Just because of logistics and your belly getting in the way, right? As we progress, things are going to change up a little bit. You'll notice the exercises are a little bit different. The main thing that we want to be aware of by about after week 20, so moving into week 21, is putting any excess pressure on the belly itself, right? So things like planks or push-ups, we start to move these into an incline so that internal pressure doesn't get to be so big that we start to really stretch out those abs in the connective material in the middle, okay? So watch out for that. The other thing that we want to be aware of is lying on your back, right? So the traditional advice has been not to lie on your back once you start the second trimester, which is not necessarily the case, okay? We don't want to be there for an extended period of time, but most women will feel comfortable up to about a minute and not get any of the lightheadedness or the shortness of breath that might come, generally from being on your back when you're pregnant. So this is something that I just want you to be aware of. For some women, it'll happen earlier, and for others, it takes a bit of time, and it really depends on where baby is positioned. So just be aware of that. If you're okay on your back, still great. If not, just raise yourself up into about a 15% incline, and eventually we're going to be doing everything from that place anyways, but in the beginning, just something to be aware of, so that you can really start to listen to your body and what's going on specifically for you, okay? So within your email, you're also going to see a little bit on pelvic floor savvy. So I think it's really important to be aware of what the pelvic floor even is. We have been told, I think, a lot of different things about what a Kegel is and what that means. So in your email, I give you a bit of a diagram so that you can have a look at what the pelvic floor actually is, right? It's not just when you stop peeing. It's not just, squeezing your vagina. It's actually kind of this basket type of thing, which supports all of your organs, and the things that we want to be aware of are if it's too tight or too weak. So a lot of problems will actually stem from your pelvic floor being too tight, because everybody's kegling, but they're not really paying attention to the release of that. And when you think about about trying to push a baby through a really, really tight pelvic floor, you can start to see how there might be some problems after your labor if your pelvic floor is too tight. So jump into that email and get acquainted with what your pelvic floor truly is and how we both strengthen and release it, okay? Because that is a 4-step process. It's, as I said, it's not just one. We start by stopping the pee. Secondly, we squeeze the vagina. Thirdly, we squeeze the anus. Fourthly, we lift the entire sort of basket or pelvic floor in its entirety. And that is what doing sort of a Kegel truly is, okay? So jump into your email so that you're really acquainted with that. And make sure that you are aware that we want to strengthen but also release so that labor ultimately becomes easier, hopefully, for us, right? The next thing I want you to be super aware of, you will see now as we go through the week that I have mentioned the connective breath and alignment. These are two things that a lot of moms will go, oh yeah, okay, I know that I need to do this, but they're incredibly beneficial, not only for your labor, but when you do everything, not just your exercise and your workouts, but everything from a place of alignment, you release the core from excess pressure, which is going to contribute to things like split abs and incontinence down the line, okay? So doing your workouts, doing your exercise from a place of alignment is really, really important. It's going to keep you from that forward folding of the shoulders because of your belly and your boobs and everything else that's growing right now. And it's going to help you to keep your lower back, upper back, and butt activated throughout your pregnancy so that you don't feel things like lower back pain and excess hip pain and stuff like that as well, okay? So don't just slough over that. Really take it into consideration on a daily basis, not just when you're working out, but when you're walking, when you're cleaning dishes, when you're working, when you're sitting at your desk, all of those different things. I want you to take that into consideration as well, okay?